damn, I'm getting old. A deliciously soft, floppy book almost feels indecent. I am absolutely sensing some 5 stars in my future. We're back. We are so back. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nellie and I love to read. I'm obsessed with reading. I read so many books per year because I'm like addicted or something. But hey, it could be worse. It could be worse. I brought my TBR cart back. I have not filmed with it since we moved into this new house. I've been filming in front of my bookshelves and then we just have like all my shelves to choose from. And I wondered if it was a little bit harder to see what books we were choosing from without having them consolidated and up front near the camera. You guys will have to tell me what you think. Do you prefer just seeing the entire library and then me choosing books and those are the only books you see? Or do you prefer seeing all the options that we're choosing from? Now, granted, I do definitely have more books on my physical TBR than just this, but I did pick out books that are on my top priority right now, and if we end up choosing a prompt that only goes for a book that is not on these, then I will run into my room and I will go grab that. But the goal is to really focus on what's here. And before we get started on that, I wanted to kind of walk you through what I put on the cart. If you're new to my channel, you probably haven't seen my most recent video that just went up on Friday, and that is my book haul video. I did a book haul for the first time in a long time. I already talked about how I've been honing in on what I really enjoy in books. What I really like to read lately is fiction books about relationship. I love fantasy books that are rooted in folklore. And as always, I love yearning and tension in books, like bring back true yearning. That's what I'm trying to find. But just jumping right into what I chose from my shelves. First of all, you're gonna see book of the month books. A goal of mine this year is to read a book of the month book. Like as it comes in, I'm reading it that month. However, I do have some to catch up on and also some book of the month books that I got used. So I have a few picks already on here, and specifically I picked out the favorites because I've been thinking about this book since I just watched the Winter Olympics, obviously in February. It's kind of been on my mind. And then just to point out really quickly, I have 2 pre-orders that did come in from the past month and I'm trying to keep up with those. I'll just pull those 2 off super quick, but those are The Sun and the Star Maker. This just recently came out a few days ago as I'm filming this. And this is so freaking beautiful. So freaking beautiful. I've heard incredible things about this story and we'll talk about it if it ends up getting chosen for this TBR, but I just had to point that out. And then I also have a YA. It's called A Stage Set for Villains. And I've had really, really good luck. Books that have to do with Shakespeare or just play actors in general. And so excited to read this. And then down here, I just have some series that I'm in the middle of, some books that are on my 26 before 2026, and then some series that I do want to start very soon. And then just to turn your attention really quickly before we get started, I did pull out some books that I have already read. I have honestly been thinking about rereads recently a lot. I don't do very many rereads at all, but I've just been thinking about how I've been chasing a feeling that my favorite books have given me, and that maybe that would just be best achieved also by rereading them, especially if I haven't annotated them. And so I wanted to point out 3 books that are potentially on my radar to reread very, very soon, maybe even this month. I have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I love folklore and I love this like hate obsession and all the yearning that you get in this series. Love it. And then I also have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I almost pulled out Just for the Summer, but I want to read this one first. Again, another reread. And then one of my most recent rereads, the only reread I did last year, was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Obviously that's becoming a movie this year, and so I've kind of been wanting to pick up another one of her books. This is Love Theoretically. But yeah, I've just got that down here. And then I do have 2 library books that you can't really see. That's Fallen City by Adrienne Young and Silver Elite, but I'm not quite sure if I like the idea of putting library books on my TBR because the whole point of this is to cut down on these, but it's a possibility. Never say never. So without further ado, I feel like we should just get right into it. I'm thinking about picking 6 books for the month of March, and then if one of these is really short, potentially we'll do 7. But we'll see. I have brought back our trusty dusty TBR jar that I have made with some prompts that you guys gave me and some prompts that I've heard from other creators that I've absolutely loved. And yeah, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Let's give it a good mix and maybe pick something from the bottom. All right, here we go. I think this is the right side up. Let you guys see it first. Pick a book that would make a good book club pick. Oh, this is a great one. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this. I think I've mentioned it a few times. I'm part of a book club locally, and I've been a part of it for a little over a year. And so going to it consistently has really made me realize what makes a good book club book, because you have to have things to talk talk about. You got to have issues that honestly even people might disagree on. Immediately I'm thinking potentially literary fiction, just because I feel like that's always a really good place to start. Or even just like a layered romance could be good, or a layered fantasy, maybe something that's more high fantasy that mirrors real life issues. Those are the things that I'm thinking about. Let's just pull out a few and see. Okay, I think potentially The Other Side of Now could be a good one. This was actually listed under fiction. I know that there's a romance subplot in here, but this one could be a good one. And then I've also recently bought Theo of Golden that I've heard really good things about, and this is another fiction type book. I'm trying to see here if anything else. Anxious People could be a really good one as well. I don't know if I'm quite feeling that right now, maybe even just particularly for this prompt. The River is Waiting is another one that could be good. Could be really good. But I think I'm just gonna go for one of the first two that I immediately thought of. So first we have The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. I've heard really, really good things about this book. It's a magical realism book, which those tend to do really, really well for me. I recently read last month One and Only by Maureen Gu. That was more magical realism romance. The romance was very much a big part of the plot, but I had a really good time with that. And so that's made me really intrigued to continue on that train and find other authors that write in that genre. Essentially, in The Other Side of Now, we have a female main character who seems to have it all. She's like an A-list celebrity. She is also dating another celebrity. And even though everything from her life looks perfect on the outside, it's not. She's recently turned 30 and has a little bit of a nervous breakdown at her 30th birthday party, which I turned 30 last year. And so that's a lie, actually. I turned 31 last year. Damn, I'm getting old. Anyways, I digress. I do like reading about characters that are closer to my age a little bit more. I don't want to say mature, because again, that makes me sound old, but I do like reading about characters that are close to my age. But she has a nervous breakdown at her party, and she ends up just planning a trip randomly to Ireland, into the specific town in Ireland that her and her former best friend always planned on moving to or visiting. Now, her best friend had since passed, and so she goes to just kind of reconnect with her almost. But when she goes, she realizes that in this town, at least, her best friend is living there and very much alive. However, they are estranged. They are not speaking to each other in this reality. So this book just kind of follows that. And I love books about relationships, specifically friend relationships, family relationships. So I've been very, very intrigued by it. And also just this concept of leaving a life behind where it seems like you have everything, but you're not happy. So this could be a really good pick. The other book that I'm thinking is one of my recent purchases, and that's Theo of Golden by Alan Levi. And this is essentially a book about a person, I believe he's like an older gentleman, but he moves into this town. No one knows a lot about him, but he just comes into this town. He comes into this coffee shop and he sees a lot of drawings, these line portraits of people who live in the city, and he ends up purchasing them one at a time and giving them to the people who they were drawn of. And he just makes these little connections all along the way. It says, with each exchange, a story is told, a friendship born, and a life is altered. A story of giving and receiving, of seeing and being seen, Theo of Golden is a beautifully crafted novel about the power of creative generosity, the importance of wonder to a purposeful life, and the threads of kindness that bind us to each other. So this could also be really, really good. I feel like it's a book that we could talk about a lot as well. Something is kind of pulling me towards The Other Side of Now right this second. So I think that's the one that I'm gonna pick. I know I'll definitely read this soon, but something's jumping out to me about this one, and I think it's finally time. There's also a booktuber that I love to watch. Her name is Brianna Kay, and she loved this book, and so it's kind of been piquing my interest lately after seeing her read it. So let's just go with it, shall we? The first book on our TBR is going to be The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. Oof, my foot is already falling asleep. I feel like I need to prop myself up on a little pillow or something. Steal my kid's little reading poof. Okay, wow, my foot is asleep. Okay, so I'm going to make a little stack back here of the first book. Set that back here. Okay, so pick number 2. Let's just give it a good little, I wanted to say shuffle, but that doesn't make sense, so a good little mix. Okay, we've got one. This looks like it's upside down. Pick a book to TV adaptation. I already know what I'm going to pick. I already know what I'm going to pick because I've been thinking about this book. It's on my 26 before 2026. And the reason why I've grabbed this book is because I love this movie with burning, burning, burning passion. And that book is Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. First of all, this book, I think is either the highest rated or the second highest rated book on my physical TBR, something crazy like that. And it is just praised about. It's praised about. This movie is a movie, again, I'm obsessed with, and if you haven't read it. If you haven't seen it, you really, really should. But anyway, I'm talking way too much and not telling you anything that this is about. If you don't know what this book is about, it basically takes place during the gold rush, I believe, in California. And the author in the summary describes it as a time when men sold their souls for a bag of gold and women sold their bodies for a place to sleep. And that is the situation that we're finding our female main character in. She was sold into prostitution as a child because of just some really unfortunate circumstances. And so she does not ever expect kindness from men. She has seen the worst side of men ever. And one day when she is going out in the town, and again, I'm just describing the movie, but this man ends up seeing her and kind of like falling in love with her at first sight. And he just comes to her, and he's a very like God-fearing man. And so when he's speaking to her, he's just like, is this the life you want? Do you want to get out of this life? And she just doesn't trust him. Then we were just taken on this journey of her trying to learn to trust somebody and to trust that good things can happen. And there's just this back and forth between the two of them, not only because of her past, but her own feelings of herself, of just like unworthiness because of this life that she has kind of been forced into living, and she has a horrible view of herself. In this movie, I just fell in love with the male main character, how sweet he is, how much love he has for her, and how much patience, because, I mean, you can see how long this book is. Like, it does not go well from the very beginning. It's just a story I love, and so I've really been wanting to obviously read the source material that it's from. It's quite a long book. Let's see here. There's a little epilogue, but even before the epilogue, it's 462 pages. So, I also thrifted this coffee, you can probably tell, last year at some point, but I've been really excited to read this, and it's on my 26 before 2026 ends. So let's just go ahead and do it. This is the month. So book 2, our pick number 2 is going to be Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. Okay, going strong. I'm excited. Okay, pick number 3. See if we can get some fantasy maybe on here. Is going to be, let's see. Pick the next book in the most recent series you've started. It's going to be long. It's going to be long, but I did want to put this book on my February TBR because I read the first 2 books in the trilogy during, I keep saying February tonight. I did want to put this book on my March TBR because I read the first 2 books in the month of February, and that is the last book in the Dark Artifices series, which is coincidentally the longest book in this universe. There's like over 15 books in this universe, and this is the longest book, of course, but that is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I love this series so much. I care about these characters like they were real people. I have been a longtime fan of Cassandra Clare's writing, and I actually, both of those books were a reread, and I can't remember if this is a reread for me. I'll have to start reading it before I know if I ever finished this the first time I read it when it came out in like 2017 or something like that. But I've been wanting to continue in the Last Hours trilogy, which I had not gotten into, and I know there's going to be one more trilogy after that she's going to come out with, so I've been wanting to just be up to date. And so, yeah, it's time. I can't tell you too much about what's happening in this book other than the last 2 books have broken my heart so far, but we're following these 2 characters who are shadow hunters. This is part of the Mortal Instruments series, part of the Shadow Hunters universe, which is essentially, it's an urban fantasy series where we have a war that's kind of being battled right beneath the humans' noses and a lot of supernatural creatures. And so we are following 2 shadow hunters who are parabatai, who are soldiers bonded to each other. They just make each other more powerful in every way. And there's one big rule about parabatai, and it is they're not allowed to enter into a relationship. They can only be platonic companions and friends, but we are following 2 characters who have fallen in love with each other and are trying to stay away from each other. And we have one character in particular who is the father figure to all of his younger siblings because of multiple tragedies that have happened to their family. And we just have all of these moving pieces. In the last book, we actually ended up following a lot more people, and I love that. I love a series that feels big, you know, like it feels like you're following an entire world and not just what's happening to 2 people. But yeah, I love it. The yearning in this series is incredible. I'm talking too much about it, but I am really excited excited to go into the series. I just finished number 2 a few days ago, and I was going to take a little bit of a break because this is so huge, but a week's long enough, right? We can jump right into this in March. So the third book is going to be Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. All right, this is quite a thick TBR, so let's see if we can get a short one on here. All right, and is this upside down? Pick a book blurbed by a favorite author. Okay, I already know there's 2 in here that are blurbed by some favorite authors, and they're both small books, so this could be really, really good. Is this one also blurbed? My favorite author? I don't see any blurbs on this one. Dang it. Yeah, no. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and talk about these 2. First, we have When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. This is the author who wrote the Divergent series, and this is a fantasy series that is rooted in folklore. The books are very short, and there's currently 2 out in the series. I don't know if there's going to be more or not, but this is based off of Slavic folklore. We are following Demeter, and it's kind of like an urban fantasy setting. Demeter comes to Chicago, to the magical underground, and he has a mission that he has to pick this specific flower and offer it to a cursed creature in order to find this legendary witch. The creature that he brings this flower to is our other female main character, and that is Alla, and she is what's called a fear-eating Zamora. She has a bloodline curse, and she's so desperate to end it that she says yes. Over the course of one night, Alla and Demeter risk life and limb in search of the witch Baba Yaga and begin to build a tentative friendship. But when Alla finds out what Demeter is hiding, it could destroy them both. And this is blurbed by 2 favorite authors. We have Holly Black, who says it's deliciously frightening folklore, perfectly mixed with adventure, heart, and sinister surprise. And then we have Lee Bardugo. It says, rich with myth and tapped into the deepest kind of magic, Roth has created a deliciously strange, multi-layered mystery full of very human longing, which is a buzzword for me. I love some longing. And then the next book is another shorty, and this is The River Has Roots. It's also based in folklore, which is good for me. And it's by Amal El-Motar, who is a co-author of This Is How You Lose the Time War. And this is blurbed by Holly Black as well. The summary says, oh, what is stronger than a death? 2 sisters singing with one breath. In the small town of Thistleford on the edge of Fairy, the mysterious Hawthorne family tends the willow trees there. For as long as anyone can remember, the Hawthorns have paid tribute to the willow trees, honoring an ancient compact to sing to them in thanks for their magic. None, though, have taken up this calling more devotedly than the family's latest daughters, Esther and Isabel, who cherish each other as much as they cherish the trees. But when Esther rejects a forceful suitor in favor of a lover from the land of Fairy, not only the sisters' bond, but also their lives will be at risk. This sounds so good. I'm honestly tempted to put both of them on my TBR. Just out of curiosity, I wonder how many pages these have. Okay, so we have 129 pages. I could read that in an hour. Okay, maybe 2. And then we have 176 pages for When Among Crows, I think. Let me just make sure. Oh, just kidding. That included a prelude from the next book. This one has 163 pages. So they're both very, very short. And I think I might just put both of them on my TBR. Am I allowed to do that? I guess it's my TBR, huh? I think I'm gonna add both of these to my TBR because I can't choose, and they're both so short. So I'm gonna add The River Has Roots and When Among Crows as pick number 4. So we'll see where we go if we get to 6 books after this. Okay, number 5 is going to be, depending on how long this is, maybe this will be our last one. Read the highest rated book on your physical TBR. Okay, I don't know if I should pick this one because I know what the other highest rated book is going to be, and that's actually a book club book for December for my book club. I like to read a book closer to the book club. That way everything stays fresh in my mind to be able to discuss with other people who come to this book club. So I'm going to see here. I have on my physical TBR. Oh, you know what it is? The Women, obviously, like I said, but I'm going to save that for my book club. So the next one is actually Theo of Golden, right above Redeeming Love. So that is the highest. The next one is Project Hail Mary, and then we have Daisy Hates. And okay, I guess that doesn't really leave much choice, which is fine. But Theo of Golden we have by Alan Levi, and I kind of explained to you what this was about, but yes, this is a literary fiction, and this is very much going to be character driven, focusing on relationships throughout this little town that Theo moves into, and really based off of interactions and like small acts of kindness, which I really, really enjoy. I've heard that if you like Frederick Bachman's writing, because he's very much somebody who writes about characters, and you will love this story. And yeah, I don't think there's really much else to say about it. I am excited to read this book. I've heard, again, incredible things. Obviously, it's one of the highest rated books on my TBR. So we're going to go with Theo of Golden by Alan Levi for pick number 5, which is technically book number 6. But yeah, that's going to be the next one. Now the question is, do I chance putting another book on my TBR is the question. Let's just do it. Who are we kidding? Okay. Reread a favorite book, especially if you wish you annotated but didn't. I love this. Okay, that's literally the most perfect prompt to end on. So obviously I already talked to you guys. We have 3 different options. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. She is the reason why I got into folklore and fantasy, and I absolutely love this book. I've been wanting to reread it a lot. If you haven't read The Cruel Prince, it is very much rooted in folklore, and we have these 2 human girls who were brought into the land of fairy and who are growing up in this very harsh world towards mortals. And specifically, we're following our female main character Jude, and one of the princes of fairy, his name is Prince Carden. He is known for just being heartless and evil, and the 2 of them have this almost like morbid fascination with each other. They hate each other, but almost to obsession. It's so tangible, and it ends up giving the most delicious yearning. So this book has been on my mind a lot. Then we have obviously Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is famous for its mental health representation with our male main character who has social anxiety. And then we have our female main character who, they're both doctors and they work in the same hospital, and she's got a lot of different things going on, but specifically her brother is looking for a transplant. He is very terminally ill, and the 2 of them end up meeting, and it just kind of goes from there. And I just love this book. I know I love it, but it's been so long since I've read it that I've almost forgotten what it was about it that I've loved. And I know they write little notes in this book that I just think are so cute. And then the last one is Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood. I don't even remember what this was about, but I remember I loved it. I binge her writing. I think it has to do with fake dating somehow. Like, I think that our female main character is kind of like a beard for people. She's a physicist, and she, just as an extra way to make money, she offers her services as a fake girlfriend, tapping into her expertly honed people-pleasing skills to embody which version of herself the client needs. And basically what happens is she ends up coming into a family party with someone who's hired her, and their older brother ends up being Jack Smith, who is another physicist who ruined her mentor's career and undermined the reputation of theorists everywhere, and is the person that's standing between her and her dream job. And he just like has hawk eyes on her like the entire time that she's there, and it just kind of like escalates from there, the situation between the 2 of them. I feel like all of these are really good options. I'm trying to think of which one I want to read the most right now. Maybe if I just like reread their first pages and see. They're calling him Dr. Death. Jocelyn stood peering at me dramatically from behind the nurse's station where I sat at my computer charting my patients. I glanced over her screen and rolled my eyes. Give him a break, I said, typing in my notes. The guy's been here all of 11 hours. It's his first day. That's the point, she whispered. He has 100% kill rate. Okay. I'm already remembering the beginning of this book, and it's making me want to read this. And then we have The Cruel Prince. I know this one starts with a prologue and also has a beautiful map. Let's see here. But I'm going to pass the prologue. Oh, that's right. It has like a really sad prologue about how her and her sister came to be in fairy, and it just kind of escalates from there. Escalates. But chapter 1 just says, in fairy there are no fish sticks, no ketchup, no television. And I think that's a parallel because in the prologue, I believe those are the things she was eating / doing the last time she saw her parents. And so that's why that's significant. Although standing alone, if you didn't know that, you'd be like, what a freaking weird first line. And then the last one, let's see here. Oh, this is another prologue. In my life, I've experienced regret, embarrassment, maybe even a touch of agony, but nothing, absolutely nothing prepared me for the ignominy. Is that how you say it? Ignominy. Ignominy of finding myself in a bathroom stall pressed against the arrogant older brother of the guy I've been pretending to date for the last 6 months. It's an award-winning, rock-bottoming low, especially when coupled with the knowledge that Jack Smith is saving my ass. When he picks me up by the waist to maneuver me around the cramped space, gravity-defyingly strong, I'm not sure what's worse, the fact that his hands are all that prevent me from crumpling like a scrunchie, or the mortifying amount of gratitude I feel toward him. Settle down, Elsie, he says against the skin of my cheek, terse as usual, but also incongruously soothing. He's close, too close. Not nearly close enough, the sweet oblivion of death, and stop fidgeting. Oh, I kind of want to keep reading this too. Part of me is wondering if it wouldn't be fun to do like a little reading vlog where I reread a few favorites. Maybe then we can just read all of them. But I'm only gonna put one on my TBR just because. And the one I think just from reading the first line that's really sticking out to me is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I think it's time for a reread, and you guys will have to let me know if you'd be interested in watching a reading vlog of rereading my favorite books, or at least some of my favorite books, but you'll have to let me know. But yeah, I think the final pick for March is going to be Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And yeah, I am actually really excited about that. Let's do a little bit of a recap. Okay, so the first book we have on our March TBR is going to be The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison, for a book that could make a good book club pick. Then for the prompt that's a book to TV adaptation, we have Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. For the next book in my most recently read series, we have Queen of Air and Darkness, which is the third in the trilogy that is The Dark Artifices, and this will finish that trilogy. After that, we kind of cheated and picked 2 books for a prompt. That is blurbed by one of my favorite authors, which is Holly Black. So we have The River Has Roots by Amal El-Matar and When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. I'm really excited for both of these because I haven't really seen anybody reading these. Then for the highest rated book on my physical TBR, we chose Theo of Golden by Alan Levi. And then lastly, for a reread, which literally that prompt just came in so clutch. And also for a book that I wish I would have annotated, we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. What a month this will be. I'm honestly just really excited to get reading. If any of these are your favorite books, or even if you've read them, I'd love to hear about your experience with them in the comments below. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video and don't know what to leave me a little fairy emoji because we've got some folklore on here that I'm really excited to get to. And as always, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this video, please stay a while. Feel free to binge any other videos on my channel, and I would love to have you follow along. As always, I will see you guys in my next video, which I've been uploading on Fridays and Sundays recently. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. Bye!